All right, let's just jump right in. Trying to learn AI, right? It can feel like you're trying to drink from a fire hose. You've got new tools, new models, constant updates. It's a lot. But today, we're going to cut through all that noise. We're going to map out a clear path that covers not just the practical how-to stuff, but also the mindset you need to really thrive with this technology.
So to get us started, I want to frame this whole conversation with this amazing metaphor from AI expert Andrej Karpathy. He says we shouldn't think of AI like a familiar animal that evolves slowly over time. Instead, he says it's more like a summoned ghost, something totally new, kind of alien. And trust me, getting this distinction is everything.
And this is where it gets really interesting. You see, our brains, the animals in this metaphor, were fine-tuned over millions of years for survival in the real world. Finding food, building tribes. But AI, the ghosts, totally different story. It's been fed a diet of pure digital data. Its whole world is about mimicking text, acing coding challenges, and climbing leaderboards. So its goals, they're just not our goals.
So what's the result of all this? Well, you get what Karpathy calls jagged intelligence. It's this idea that AI can be an absolute genius at some things, like solving problems that would take a human years. But then, in the next breath, it completely misses something a 5-year-old would get. And that's exactly why we're still in the driver's seat. Our guidance, it's not just a nice-to-have, it's a must-have.
Okay, so here's the plan for today. We've talked about this ghost intelligence. Next, we're going to walk through the practical steps, moving from simple automations to smart agents. Then, a really big one, why you have to think first before you ever start prompting. And we'll finish up by looking at the 5 things that AI just can't do for you, where you are still the key.
All right, so we've talked about the what, let's get into the how. This is where the rubber meets the road, your actual journey into building with AI. And it all kicks off with this idea of moving from basic automations to these smarter agents. So, first up, let's talk about automation. The best way to think about this is like a really simple recipe. It's a fixed, step-by-step thing. For example, you could set up a rule that sends you the exact same email about the weather every single morning at 8 a.m. Super predictable, super reliable, right? But it's rigid. It can't do anything else. Okay, now let's level up. Let's talk about an AI agent. This is where things get really cool. It's basically an automation that we've given a brain to. So it's not just mindlessly following a script anymore. It can actually understand what you're asking, make choices, and even grab other tools to get the job done. And right here, this is the key difference. Your automation is just send this email, period. But the agent, it's dynamic. You can ask it, hey, what's the weather going to be like in Paris this weekend? And it can figure that out, go get the live data, and write you a completely new answer. Seriously, understanding this one shift from rigid to dynamic, it's probably the most important thing to get your head around. So, the big question is, how do you actually get there? Well, here's a simple 4-step plan. And please, don't try to build some crazy complex agent on your first day. It's a process. First, just learn the lingo. Nodes, triggers, workflows. Then build some really small, simple automations. The goal here is just to see how data moves around. Once you've got that, then you can start adding the AI, giving it memory, connecting it to tools. And the last step? You just got to play with it, experiment, break stuff. That's really where you're going to learn the most. Okay, we've got the how, but now we need to talk about a really important mindset piece. There's this fear, right? That as we start handing over more tasks to AI, are we just getting dumber? Let's talk about that. I love this quote from Kaspar Korjus. It just nails the right way to think about this. AI isn't here to replace your brain. Think of it more like a sparring partner, something that can push back on your ideas, make you see things from a different angle, and in the end, it actually makes your thinking sharper. And this leads to a rule I think everyone should live by: think first, prompt second. Because what happens if you just jump straight to asking the AI for the answer? You're outsourcing the best part of your work, the struggle, the connecting of dots, the actual thinking. Sure, it feels faster in the moment, but if you do that all the time, you're not exercising your own brain. Which brings us to our last big topic today. Look, even as AI gets crazy powerful, there are just some fundamental human problems that it cannot and will not solve for you. And these are the areas where you, with your judgment, your empathy, that's where you become more valuable than ever before. So what are they? Well, first, misalignment. AI can't get a team on the same page if the humans aren't. It can't do the critical thinking for you, figuring out what's really important. It's definitely not going to solve a fight between you and a coworker. It can't create genuine authenticity. That has to come from you. And finally, it just can't read the room. It doesn't see the body language, it doesn't get the subtext, all that stuff we deal with every single day.
So, where does that leave you in all of this? It means your role is shifting. It's getting bigger. You're not just a passive user anymore, just clicking some buttons. You're the architect. You're the strategist. You are the one who has to guide this ghost in the machine. And let's be super clear about this. You are in charge. AI is an incredible tool, a powerful amplifier for sure, but it only amplifies what you put into it. So it's on you to own this whole journey, to make those tough calls, and to really understand the human side of whatever problem you're working on.
You know, when you boil it all down, it comes to this one thing. An AI can spit out a million answers in the blink of an eye, but its entire universe, everything it does, is defined by the question that you ask it. The quality of your thinking directly leads to the quality of its output. So as you start on this path, just remember, the most powerful tool in this whole new world, it's not the AI. It's your ability to ask a really, really good question. So, what are you going to ask first?